Hey everyone, another show this week. It's been a big week for Country Kickback and all at different times, which hopefully has helped some of you guys that are working or shift working. Hopefully you've been able to see some of our music and different artists that we've had on. What's everyone been up to today? I've been at work and got home and done some housework, and that's been my day. What has everyone else been doing? Hi Beck, hi Marlene, hi Dave, how are you going? Tonight we have Leigh joining us. She's a new artist, which hopefully some of you might have heard. If you haven't, you have to check her out on all the regular spots after the show, but she's fantastic. She's from Queensland, and we're going to have a bit of a chat to her, what she's been up to and what she's got coming for the year. We might welcome her into the room. Hi.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining. I've just got a few people joining in now. I can see them popping in as we talk.
Cool.
Hi, Bet. How you going?
My bedroom.
Your bedroom. I love your bed. I would love that bed. Do you want to trade?
Actually, I got it from Gumtree and it was solid oak, and I wanted white, so I sanded the whole thing back. And
oh my gosh! Oh,
big project.
In your spare time with all your music and all your other jobs and kids and.
I've always been really creative, and that was before I was brave enough to share my music. So my garage, yeah.
Oh well. For everybody at home that hasn't heard about you, tell us a little bit about why you've gone into music and what you're playing.
Yeah. I'll try and keep it short. Not really. I can't do that.
Like girls.
I grew up in the church. My parents are pastors, so music and worship was like a massive part of my life and church life. And I started playing piano when I was 6 years old. I was just drawn to it intuitively.
Yep.
And so I did like a lot of theory. My parents were missionaries, so we traveled. So like when we were traveling, I would do a lot of the music theory if I couldn't actually be in lessons. And I found every time we came back from a trip, like when I was 6, we were in Africa, and I was doing piano, and then I came back and I did some drums, and then we went to the UK when I was 10, and so I came back and I tried sax and a few different things. And then when I went to university, I started playing guitar, mainly because it was harder to take a piano to use. So a lot more portable. So yeah, like music in the theory sense, and my heart was always drawn to it. And I always wrote a lot of diaries and things like that. But emotionally, music saved my life, essentially. And I mean, that's what my therapists say. But I completely agree with it. When I was younger, I went through some really traumatic experiences, and that I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone about, especially adults in my life. And so there was a lot of shame in my life around that trauma that was going on. And music was a place that I felt safe to express the emotions that I can understand. And so then that was kind of why and how I got into songwriting and just like music. And so for me, music is like a really emotional, intimate thing that, I could sing worship songs at church, but to sing something that I'd written for anyone, like there's just no way I would ever do that. Like it was just such an intimate, close thing that I was too scared to do, because I guess I was afraid of that shame and the stuff that I was too scared to talk about, and that trauma. I was afraid that people might see that. So I didn't do it for a really long time. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it, and that's a little snippet as to
what was the reason. What was the final thing that gave you that courage to put it out?
Sure. So 2015, I went to Tamworth because I'd just been through a big court case, which was actually to do with that childhood trauma. And it was finished, and I just needed, my husband actually said, you need some therapy. You need something that is just music and you, and get away from the world. And so he sent me down to Tamworth to singing songwriting retreat at the Dag sheep station down there. And I had no idea that it was supposed to be for country music. I remember I was the first night we got there, everyone had to get up and sing an original song. And I did it a cappella because I hadn't touched my guitar in a little while. And I sang this song, and I remember Lachlan Bryant asked me a question after, like, what's your influence? And I was like, I guess the church and just, me. And then Elise Simmons said, you sound like Beyonce. And I'm like, that's really nice. But I was at a country music retreat, and I was like, maybe she means like, what are you doing here? This isn't, So they kind of introduced me to country music, and I did a lot of songwriting and therapy there. And then I went back again last year, and I went to the retreat and I did some more songwriting, and just to get away and do something for me.
Yeah.
And then Renee Jonas was there, and we met there and we became friends, and she invited everyone from the group to go to Nashville. And I was like, yeah, I'll go to Nashville. So I went to a songwriting retreat with her in Nashville last year in October. And that place was just so encouraging and so loving and so inspiring, that I came back and I was like, I want to do this. Like, what am I doing? Why am I singing to myself in the mirror in my bedroom when, my music's really helped me, and other people's music's really helped me? I feel like my way of giving back, now that I'm doing so much better and I've dealt with a lot of my emotional stuff, maybe my way of giving back and showing my gratitude to the music universe is by sharing my songs with you guys. So like, that's the main motivation behind it, is to maybe share what I've done and inspire other people.
I just had a message. Can you guys hear? I can hear you. They're coming. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can't see any messages though.
Guys, can you hear everything? Messages are coming through, but can it let us know if the sounds are right for you guys? Can you turn your mic up at all?
My mic?
Yeah, can you turn the sound up on your keyboard? Are you on phone or computer?
Is that louder? That's just me turning my volume up.
Yeah.
I
can hear you fine. So guys, if you can't, let us know and we'll see what we can do. All good there, Scott? Excellent. Robert said it's all good. We must be all right. We got it. Maybe it worked.
Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt you. Now, I know that before you went into music, you've done a bit of modelling, a bit of acting and all that sort of thing. A sticky beak, sorry. Are you planning on sort of still doing that as well as your music?
Yeah, well, like, that stuff pays. Music's free, so I have done some modeling, and more recently it's been more like TV commercials and things like that, and acting. Like, I applied for the Elvis movie that's out this year, or that they're filming in the Gold Coast this year. So, like, fingers crossed. But that's kind of something that, like, I actually got into. I had like this New Year's resolution when I was younger of just doing new stuff for the first time, and like, if I hadn't done it, I had to say yes. That was healthy and like legal, because I'm a big health advocate and I was a PT for a long time. So one of my friends, I was at work, and one of my friends was like, oh, you have to be 167 centimeters to be a model. I was like, oh, I'm that tall. Maybe I'll give that a go. And and so, like, I did.
Damn, I'm out. It's just the height, but I'm out,
As well, like, she was really tiny, but she was really into fashion, and so she was like, well, I can't do modeling, so I can do this. And she was kind of complaining about that to me, and I was like, oh, that's how tall I am. Maybe I should just try new things and have new experiences. And I was just getting to know myself as a human being. I think that's the best way to do it, is try something you haven't tried before. Yeah. So that's how I got into it. Plus, I deep down, I think I've always loved music, and I desperately wanted to be able to sing my own songs in front of people, and desperately wanted to share. I just was so afraid, and hadn't dealt with some of the walls that were in my own life, that I just couldn't do it. So I thought, if I was to do acting and modeling and things like that, at least that was getting in front of people and public speaking and building up that confidence, which is something that you need when you're performing as well. So it was like training, I guess, for what I'm doing now. Yeah,
I think it's a good start. It's a good way of bringing yourself to that confidence and getting used to being in front of people. And yeah, I think it's good.
I love storytelling, and I love art, and that's what art to me is storytelling. And so if I got the ability to be in a movie and be a part of someone's story that they were telling, and I could buy into the project, like, I'd be all up for that. Yeah.
Well, I guess now let's go back to your music. You have been very busy this year. You've released 2 singles already. Tell us a little bit about the first one. You released that in order for the bushfires and things in January. Tell us a little bit about the song and how it came about.
Sure. So I was born in Sale and grew up in Bairnsdale in East Gippsland, Victoria, which is where the fires predominantly were in Victoria for East Gippsland. And my family, my parents, and my sister, and a lot of close friends that I went to school with are all down there. And so when it was all sort of becoming, even before it was, a mega fire or anything like that, when the fires were just starting, my parents were kind of keeping me in the loop, and I was calling them every morning. And then when the news started to build up around the severity of what was going on, I guess I just felt kind of helpless, and I could understand what was going on for these people. Like I said, that I'd gone to the retreat when I had a really difficult time. That was the first song that I wrote, and that was the first song that I'd ever sang on stage in front of anyone at that retreat in 2015. And it was a song about hope when it feels like there's nothing else you can do, or what I could do at the time, just to keep going. And I guess I felt like that would relate to a lot of my friends and family and people in that area who were going through devastation or going through something that's really traumatic. And I hope it will be, and it is, encouragement to let you know that you're not alone, and that, I'm thinking of you, and it is hard, but just got to keep going, and hope and encouragement. It might be a hard upward battle, but I've been there, and you can get through anything because we're very strong as human beings.
We can
get through everything.
Australians, we are very strong, and we help each other, and that's what this bushfire has done. It's shown the country coming together and helping in whatever way they can, which is really cool. And then not long after that, a few weeks later, you've released your current single. You released that February 14th, so in time for Valentine's Day. Perfect timing. How did you choose that song? What was the reason that you've released these in the orders that you've?
Sure. Well, All of Me is a connection song, and so it felt that Valentine's Day, as much as it's just one day in the year, it is a day to celebrate that connection that we have with each other. And like I mentioned earlier, like for me personally, I've always had a lot of barriers up with that shame and that stuff that I wasn't able to deal with. And music was my way of dealing with that.
Yeah.
And I've done like tons of therapy, and I really struggled to be able to connect with myself and connect with other people. And I've always had, since that trauma as a kid, I really struggled to be close to anyone. I was always cool with like a big group, and I was always the funny one, or I would make light of everything. And but I really struggled to have one-on-one close relationships with anyone. I had big walls up. And this song was kind of my introduction to saying that this is who I am. And I think that it's something that a lot of us do, like in social media and things like that. We have a mask, and we put our happy version of ourselves online on Instagram and Facebook, and then we compare ourselves to each other as well, based on assumptions that we've made by what we see on social media. And we feel like we understand and we're connecting more what's going on, but we don't tend to ask each other, like, how you're feeling. And there's this kind of like unspoken lie that you have to be happy all the time, otherwise there's something wrong with you. And so that's kind of something that I want to encourage people to do, is actually check in with yourself and with others and actually say, how are you feeling? And when you ask that question, instead of like, are you okay, or how you doing, we usually get the response, oh yeah, I'm all good, because that's what our generic thing we say. You actually say, how are you feeling? There's 4 core feelings. There's happiness, sadness, fear, and anger. And all emotions are based around a complex version of one of those 4. And they're all perfectly fine emotions to have. But if they're suppressed, I have experienced in my life, a lot of them were suppressed because I didn't feel free to share that. And when they're suppressed and hidden, or like I say, in the dark, then they actually just can leak out in the worst ways. And so a part of why I want to share music and what I've learned through a lot of the therapy that I've done is that if we can shed some light on those other emotions, and we ask each other in person, those physical relationships we have with each other. I'm not saying that sharing this is on Facebook and stuff's going to get you any closer to anyone, but but the people that are really close to you in your life, like, for example, if we didn't have fear as human beings, then no one would ever be brave or bold. If we put love into fear, we have braveness. And like for me, I was so scared of sharing my story and my trauma and what I'd been through. But it's taken a lot of bravery to perform publicly and actually share my journey publicly. And same with like sadness. If we don't, if we can't see our own sadness, it becomes depression, and you know that it's really hard. Whereas if we accept our own sadness, we're actually able to be compassionate for other people who are going through sadness. But if we don't, then it's really hard to be compassionate for other people. And whereas like same with anger, like anger's, if it's not seen, it usually comes out violently. But if it is seen and it is used properly, anger is usually what drives us and makes us really passionate about doing something positive. So for me, like all of me is about being like actually self-loving and self-loving all of my emotions, and accepting that there is a part that I'm going to put on some makeup and wear certain clothes and want to fit in and be accepted, but that it's really important to have that close relationship with some people that do see all of me. And I think we all need that. And it's, I felt really isolated when I didn't feel like I could talk to anyone. I felt really isolated. I felt really alone. And I felt like no one got me. And it only got better by talking, you know, in a safe environment or a safe place with safe people.
Absolutely. I think it's good to hear the stories behind people are actually picking up and reacting. We're echoing again. I'm not sure why. It's coming and going. That's very strange. It's good to see people reacting to that sort of thing and getting that message out again. A lot of artists are trying to get those sorts of messages out, and people are starting to learn from those things, which is really good. You have a lot coming this year. You've got more music to come. Have you got plans on when they're going to be released yet, or you're still thinking through your next single?
So I'm currently in the studio with Jason Millhouse in Brisbane, and someone else who's helping me produce some more of my songs that I've already written. So I have a song that I've written with Shane Nicholson, Alan Caswell. I've got another one that I wrote with Eric Dodd in Nashville, that I am performing live. So I'm on Bands in Town, and every time I'm performing live, and as much as possible, I try to perform live. I chuck it up on Bands in Town, which goes to my website and Facebook. So if you want to see me live and hear any of my songs before they're released, you can come and do that. But I kind of was planning on releasing them sort of every 4 to 6 weeks throughout the year, and I guess just introduce myself and my music to Spotify and the digital world and all that sort of stuff. Because I am really new to it. Like I've got things like Patreon and stuff like that starting up, so that if people do want to support me, they can be a part of this journey. But I am very new to this. Like I literally only did my first open mic in October 2019.
Wow.
So I have worked. I've worked really hard on my music, and it's always been something that was just for me. And I feel like maybe that's selfish, and I want to share it. And I don't know. It just feels like the right time to be sharing my music with people.
It's great.
It feels like the right time to encourage. But my music's very encouraging, very positive, and it's all about love, really, self-love or loving others and all.
It's good. It's great music. I love it. I think it's great to see some positive stuff coming out. Tell me, you, as you were saying earlier, you've only just sort of really been introduced into country music. Have you got some music that you are listening to regularly now that you're sort of more and more introduced into the scene?
I do actually. I really like Shane Nicholson's new single, "The High Price of Surviving." So I have been listening to that. I love Luke Combs, massive fan. But at the same time, I really like to hear new stuff. So I will usually go to playlists of new things, and I'm getting used to Spotify. I used to be an Apple Music girl, and recently my Instagram friends have told me that Spotify is the way to go. So I've been making the transition, and now I'm on Spotify. Like it's kind of, I'm starting to understand how all these algorithms work, and then so I'm listening to new music that way. But Yeah.
It's good, isn't it? It shows you get all these things that you haven't heard before, and yeah, it's really good to see. Scott's just
I love
popped
live
in,
music.
but I can't read it all.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Thank you, Scott. Scott
Thanks,
is
Scott.
is part of Country Kickback in Harvey Bay, so he does goes to a lot of live shows around Queensland for us. We've got lots of people popping in and saying you're a good singer, and it's really good. People are really enjoying. So, as you're saying, you're on Spotify. So, if people want to find you, what do they go to Facebook and search Ray Leigh? Go to Spotify. Where else can they find you? What are they?
Yeah, Instagram, Facebook. I have a website and I've got a YouTube video, a YouTube channel, sorry, that has a few things, but I'm going to be sharing more and more of my story. Everything's kind of in pre-production at the moment, but more about my journey, why music, but also my emotional stuff as well, and just personal stuff, because I'm a mum of 3, and I've just learned a lot of things that I do really think, like I always wanted someone to help me, and I've had so many people help me and share so much wisdom. I kind of hope that I can share what I've learned and what's really helped me get through, and embodiment stuff. And yeah, so that's on the website, but it's going to be on YouTube and then Patreon and all that stuff. So probably like Facebook or Instagram's at Ray Leigh Oz. So it's RaeLeighAus. And but I'm pretty much everywhere. Like, yeah.
You actually pop up quite a bit on my thing, so you have got it out there very well. It's great.
I don't do it all on my own. Like I seriously, I'm the creative one, and then I have an amazing team of people and people I've met through doing open mics and going to other music things that have just been helping. So as much as like it is my heart and my story and what I want to share, I'm not doing it on my own. I can't produce music as good as what is being done for me. I'm singing on it and I wrote it, but everything else is being done by other people. And I think that was one thing that I learned in Nashville, is that it takes a village to create something really powerful and strong. Yeah. So I'm just really proud to be a part of it. And yeah.
It's fantastic. I can't wait to see what this year's going to bring for you, actually, and I can't wait to keep hearing your new singles. And if you'll let us, we'll keep sharing them so everyone can see them, because it's just fantastic and it's exciting. And as you said, you're on Bands in Town, so if people want to keep up to date with where you're playing, or I'm sure that they'll probably ask you on your pages anyway. Yeah, but keep following you on Bands in Town. Bands in Town is something that I don't know if a lot of people follow, but we're starting to hear more and more. So if you guys aren't already on that, jump on, because it's so good. I get messages all the time of, did you know this person's playing nearby? And you think, oh no, I didn't. So it's brilliant. Yeah, jump on there.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it is. So when's your next gig? Have you got one lined up soon?
Oh yeah, I'm playing at Ground and Sound. I'm featuring there on Sunday, which is in the Gold Coast. So anyone who's around the Gold Coast and wants to come say hi and have a jam, I'll be playing there for a few original songs, and yeah, that'd be cool. So if you're local, come say hi.
Sunday afternoon?
Sunday afternoon, yeah, between 12 and 4.
Excellent. So if you're nearby, jump down and let us know. Send us some photos if you are, because I can't go there, obviously, but I would love to. So send some photos through, guys, and go and say hi.
Yeah, cool. But otherwise, I do want to play anyway. So, like, get me a gig in Tasmania. Yeah. I'll sort something out. Or...
That would be amazing. We could definitely. We've got to figure. I've just got to do one big. I think we should just do one big Country Kickback show, and all of you guys that have been on, and we can just get a big tent and do a big stage and
festival camp. Just
festival.
Yeah. Around the campfire. Sounds great.
Not this summer, because we haven't had much of a summer down here. It doesn't feel like we have. It's been cold the last 2 days. So if once it warms up, I think that's a good plan.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you so much for joining. I'm starting to lose my voice. Thank you guys for joining in again. But please jump over, follow Ray Leigh on all her socials, and keep an eye out for the Patreon. Will you pop that link on your Facebook when that's all set up?
On my Facebook. Facebook is probably a great way to just keep up with what's going on, because every time I'm doing something new, I'll always post it to Facebook. And then Patreon will be that one step closer for people who want to be more involved and support my art, then that's just a way that you can do it. So it is really new at the moment. Like I just sort of going with the flow. So yeah, you have to just watch this space.
Watching, it's exciting because, as we were saying earlier, people that are jumping on now are going to be there from the start, so they'll be able to watch you grow and watch your music change and watch how you're changing and evolving in your career. It's fantastic.
I have learned apparently that Spotify algorithms makes a big difference the more followers you have. So if you have Spotify and you like my music, please follow Spotify. Because then, like, if other people like it, if you like it, then they're more likely to share it with more people, and so that'll help me out.
I think you've got to hit the follow button, and then on the songs, there's a love heart next to the songs on Spotify. If you click on that love heart, then people that keeps the algorithms going. And the same with YouTube. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. Press the subscribe button, because that's when things start to share for people. So there's little things that everyone can do to help out, and those things make a difference for artists. So
it is such a simple thing, but it makes, like, I think for everyone starting out, every time someone likes something, like, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So I know that not everyone's going to like my stuff or what I'm doing, but it feels so good when someone does like it. It's really encouraging.
Yeah. It is, and the more it happens, the more music you're going to be able to put out. So
that's
keep
exactly
going, right. And keep requesting.
I'll keep doing it even if you don't want me to. So. I appreciate the support. It's been really. I've been really surprised, probably because I've had self-worth issues, but I've been really surprised at the really positive and encouraging support that I've had from my songs, the few songs that I have had out. So yes, thank you so much for being one of those beautiful people to encourage me. I need all the encouragement I can get.
Thank you for reaching out to us, because I'm so glad we can share this for people. Well, thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining. We will. I hope to have you back again for your next single. That would be fantastic and very exciting. But thank you again, and thanks guys for joining in. Off the top of my head, I barely know what day it is today, so I'm not sure when our next show is. It is on our website, so go and have a look at the new website at countrykickback.com, and there is a dates and a live calendar in there for upcoming shows. So have a look on there and you'll know, but I will pop it on the Facebook page for you as well. Thank you again for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And pop over and say hi.
All right. See you guys.